Welcome to Extraordinary League, an actual play RPG podcast brought to you by Smash Fiction. I'm Dan Mulkerin, your game master. Playing Stitch is Kit Mulkerin.
So, don't be mad, but Mario's not the only thing in another castle.
Playing Dante is Liz Logan.
Guys, are you liking my new beard? Because I really think it's going to be a big thing in the future.
Oh, God.
Playing Nico Minoru is Miles Schneiderman.
So if you guys don't know, Bob has been reading Runaways for the first time, and Bob doing that inspired me to go back and read Runaways, because it's been a while since I read it, and I just wanted to check in with you guys and let you know, there's nothing canonical about the staff needing time to recharge from the early part of the series that we left out of the character sheet. Nothing!
Definitely not. Playing Luna Lovegood is Megan Bob.
Who has 2 wands and a new friend? This witch!
Playing Vivian is Claire Mulkerin.
So in that last fight with Bowser, it became really clear to Vivian that she wasn't as good of a fighter as the rest of the team, so I think in between sessions she's been wanting to train in martial arts, but it's been kind of slow going for her because she's too shy to ask anyone else to be her sparring partner, so she's just been doing the one kind of martial arts that she can do by herself.
Go on.
Shadow boxing.
Oh, what?
Previously, you assisted Princess Peach and the good people of Mushroom Kingdom in their efforts to dethrone the tyrant Bowser. Bowser now sits in prison, his Koopa forces have been routed, and you have all been granted Peach's Brooch, which turns out to be the third of the gems you need to defeat Phyrexia. However, you find yourselves stranded, as your Dimensional Displacement Capacitor, or DDC, the device you use to travel between worlds, has been stolen by robots. And from what you've learned from Bowser, these robots are under the command of an extra-dimensional mad scientist currently residing in Bowser's castle by the name of Dr. Ivo Robotnik. So, I'll let you all decide where and how you want this episode to open. If you recall, Luna had been attempting to negotiate an alliance with Bowser, but she hadn't yet brought this up with Peach, who would be the person that would need to authorize Bowser's release. So if you'd like to talk to her about that, you can, but if you'd rather just march straight to Bowser's castle to confront Robotnik, or if there are other scenes that you'd like to do instead, the choice is yours. To remind you guys, the last episode ended in the throne room, with Stitch discovering that the DDC was gone.
I think we should probably open with us talking to Peach about taking Bowser, and then we can do side stuff.
Okay.
Well, unless we want to open with everybody yelling at Stitch for losing the DDC.
Good.
Nico, are you mad that he lost?
Yeah, a little bit. We can a little bit mad.
I feel like we know where it is, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a place we assume we know where it is.
Yeah, but Stitch feels pretty confident about it.
Can we establish where this scene is taking place?
The throne room.
Yeah, we're still in the throne room.
So just in front of all the assembled Mushroom Kingdom people, you're screaming at Stitch?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So Stitch's ears are down against, like, the sides of his head, and he's kind of doing that thing where he's wringing his little hands together and will occasionally nervously look up at people's faces, then kind of avert his gaze.
Look, because of this, we're going to have to go and fight a bunch of, I don't know, probably robots, more of the same stuff we've been fighting. They're probably going to hit me with lasers, and I'm going to get knocked unconscious again, and I would just really like that not to... And then Nico stops and, like, thinks about something for a second, and, like, the light bulb goes off over her head, metaphorically, and she, like, runs off.
I am concerned that one of us should probably follow her.
So Vivian's gonna say, so I don't know her very well, but she makes me kind of nervous.
You know, I don't think that's the wrong feeling to have.
Like, she looks like she's excited, and I know she's our friend and on our team, but I'm not excited.
I'm on the, like, side of the room and everyone's, like, getting upset with Stitch and stuff, and I'm rummaging through some crates and I go, holy shit! Is this it? Stitch, come here, check this out!
Huh? His ears lift, and he looks over Dante's way.
I turn around and I throw a piece of garbage out of my hand and go, psych!
Wow.
At this point, Toad clears his throat nervously and says, if you're done with your audience with the princess, we have a large number of municipal matters to discuss in the throne room this evening, so
Stitch picks up the throne and then throws it at Dante. Psych!
We smash cut to the exterior of the castle, where Stitch gets thrown out like Uncle Phil throwing DJ Jazzy Jeff out the house.
He's had a really hard day. I am sorry that he threw the throne at Dante. I do apologize for that. We have a request, a favor, a pardon to ask.
Peach turns to you and says, well, what's your request?
So we went and spoke to Bowser, and he was reasonably helpful. And I think he might be the only one who can help us get our DDC back will let us go home.
The assembled Mushroom Kingdom people whisper among themselves, scandalized, and you can even hear a few in the back beginning to boo you.
Oh!
Peach looks at the crowd and looks at those of you that are still there and says, perhaps we should talk in private about this.
Stitch comes running back in, picks up the person who was booing at Luna, and throws that person at Dante. Psych!
Peach takes you all out of the main throne room and into like a side chamber where there's, couches and a table and some bookshelves. It's sort of a sitting room, basically. And she closes the door behind her and then turns and says, now, you've done much for us, but I hope you realize the magnitude of the request you're making in asking me to free this kingdom's greatest enemy mere days after we removed him from this very throne that he had taken from us.
I don't want to contradict you there, but I actually don't think he's the kingdom's greatest enemy right now.
Really?
What about this Robotnik guy? The reason that Bowser was able to conquer everything here was because he had this guy's machines, and right now that guy's in Bowser's castle. I know we don't like Bowser being on his throne in his castle, but I think that that's less of a threat than the current situation.
That may be. I worry, though, about letting loose one threat to fight another. I just worry that we're going to be making things even worse for our kingdom down the road.
Do you think there's any chance that doing this will help create some sort of truce with Bowser, some sort of goodwill?
I'm not entirely certain that Bowser's capable of even holding that sort of attitude.
If we have to, if we truly have to, we have Nico.
I don't understand.
I think if Bowser presents a threat, I think Nico can handle it, probably in a fairly permanent situation.
Why don't you give me a Psyche check, Luna?
Ooh, this is not the political bargaining I wanted to do. I got a 91. I'm fairly sure that'll work out. Yeah, that's a red.
Peach paces the perimeter of the room a couple of times in deep consideration, and then she turns back toward you and says, you've all shown yourselves not just to be powerful, but also to have a good amount of judgment when it comes to combat and when it comes to warfare, which I will admit is not something I am exceptionally experienced with. So if you think that this is best for my kingdom, then I will grant Bowser a pardon and allow him to go with you for the express purpose of removing this Robotnik from his position as a threat to this kingdom.
That is incredibly generous of you, and we are very grateful. And if there is anything else that we can do to help you, we are happy to do it.
Just make sure that my kingdom remains safe. By the way, you may want to speak to Professor Fungi if you are preparing on going to Bowser's castle. He's been doing a study on some of the captured and destroyed robots from the battle. He may be able to provide you with some insight as to a way for you to get past or defeat them. Any other scenes you guys want to do?
Can Vivian have one with Luigi?
Yeah, sure. Where would you like this scene to be set?
So he was pretty abused for a while, in a dungeon, right?
Correct.
How about in a garden outside the castle?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Luigi is out in the garden.
Vivian's going to kind of come up behind him and then realize that she's basically a few inches behind him and hasn't made any noise yet, which is a thing that she does sometimes because she's just very, very quiet. And then she's going to say, okay, don't freak out.
Bring! Luigi leaps about 15 feet in the air.
I'm sorry, I don't have I don't make footsteps. Maybe I should start whistling?
Luigi has landed by now and is panting and says, Mamma mia, you nearly scared the mustache off of my face.
I know you by reputation. I say you're Mario's brother, correct?
Yes, I'm his younger brother.
I'm a younger sibling too, I know how that is.
I see. Are any of your siblings the greatest hero this world has ever known?
Well, my older sisters were fairly well regarded in the place that we came from, but I was really not interested in following in their footsteps or being in... Wait, I don't have feet. I try to avoid saying stuff like standing in their shadow, I just think it's really lame to be making shadow puns all the time like that, I would never do that.
Luigi gets this kind of 1,000-yard stare and says, some of the jailers in the dungeon would make of the shadow puns. Clearly, only the most depraved monsters would do such a thing.
I don't know if you've heard, but we're gonna try to go to Bowser's castle next. We know your brother's there, and we think that this Robotnik guy is a really big threat to the kingdom. And these guys I'm with, he also stole something of theirs. I don't know, it was a bunch of letters. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it seemed important. So I don't know if you're feeling up to it, but would you be interested in coming along?
Luigi kind of like kicks the dirt a little bit and says, well, I don't know that I've completely physically recovered, and, well, if Mario wasn't able to defeat this Robotnik, then how am I supposed to?
I think Vivian's gonna put a hand on his shoulder and say, well, he went in alone. You have us.
Make a Psyche check with a bonus for persuasion. And that was actually a really good point you've made, and you've been sympathizing with him a lot, so I'll give you an additional +2 column shift.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Luigi.
Vivian is the one to get, she has a Luigi complex herself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I ship them.
Oh, dang. That is a yellow. It is like one box away from red, though.
You put your hand on Luigi's shoulder and give him some words of encouragement. He looks down at your hand, looks at you, and then just sort of like grabs his cap with both hands and straightens it out, and then nods. Luigi has joined the party.
Does anybody else want to do something? Because otherwise I think I have to go tell Nico what I did.
Oh, well, I need to talk to Yoshi.
Okay. Where would you like to have a scene with Yoshi?
Outside, with all the other Yoshis, just frolicking.
How about like in the town just outside the castle? That'll give enough room for the Yoshis to hang out.
Okay, sounds good.
Dante, you walk up to Yoshi, who's hanging out with a bunch of his people, and when he sees you coming, Yoshi, of course, does the secret handshake that the two of you have developed.
Yoshi, are you free to talk right now?
Of course, Dante. Dante and Yoshi begin to walk around the town, passing by all of the happy Yoshis and mushroom people that wave at you, recognizing you all as their saviors.
So, Yoshi, we're about to embark on a rad trip. And I was wondering if you would like to, accompany us because you're my friend.
Oh my god.
Yoshi stops in his walk and turns to face Dante and says, Dante, in all my years, I have never known a friend quite like you. But you have to understand, my people want to go back to our island so we can tear down Grim Grim Prison and restore our way of life.
You have to come, Yoshi. You have to come with us.
But my people need me too. How can I decide?
Dante, tell him you love him.
Yoshi, I understand, but just know we had some really good adventures, and I wish you the best for you and your people.
Dante, if you want to try to convince him, you can make a Psyche check, but otherwise
No,
you
I
can
can't do it. I
Okay.
can't do it. I respect his choices. He has not given me consent to accompany me on this journey.
Wow.
I respect your choice, Yoshi. No means no.
Yoshi throws his arms around you and hugs you tightly. Any other scenes that you guys want to do?
Yeah, I need to go find Nico's room.
Luna, you walk up to the door of the guest room that Nico has been staying in.
What do I hear?
Just like laughing in happiness.
Alright, Luna smiles too. Oh, that's nice.
Before you even finish the second knock, the door opens. Luna, come in here.
Okay.
Come here.
I
Come here. So
All right.
exciting.
Okay.
All right, look, you know about spells and stuff, right? Like I've seen
Yeah,
you
of
cast
course.
magic spells. Look at this book. And I just like open up the Tome of Eternal Darkness.
Oh god, no. Not like this.
Okay.
You're pretty sure you hear an ominous choir chanting somewhere, Luna.
Nico, do you have music playing?
What? No, I can't. I have a hard time doing music with the reading. But look at this part. I was stuck on this part of the spell. I didn't understand what this rune meant, and I just figured it out when I was talking about the laser things. It's about protection. That's what this is.
Oh, what does it protect? Does it protect you or?
I think so?
Okay. Well,
Pretty sure.
I'm really excited for you. That's awesome that
It's
you had a
great.
breakthrough.
So excited. You should read this book, Luna. It's really good.
I'll maybe when you're done with it. Peach was willing to let Bowser come with us.
Oh, okay. I don't really think that's the best idea, but why not?
Well, I made an agreement on your behalf, and you weren't there, and I'm sorry, and I shouldn't have done that. She's very worried that Bowser is going to come back and destroy everything. I said that if that looked like that was going to be the case, that you would be willing to take Bowser out of the equation in a fairly permanent fashion.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Do you feel okay doing that?
Oh, I mean, it'd be new. But, new experiences, good things. One of the many lessons I'm learning from reading this, actually. You should really check it out.
You would feel okay doing it? You wouldn't be upset?
It would be like a book club, Luna.
Okay, well, I'm just glad that you're not upset that I did that, and I think we both need to keep an eye on Bowser.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. You can just tell that guy's scum.
Do you think he's going to be a problem, or you think it'll be okay?
Look how easily we took him down before, right? And that was after his little friend showed up and cast some kind of weird enlargement spell on him, so...
Alright, I do want to say, before we go, I don't want to hurt him unless we have to hurt him.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, I plan on doing anything unless it has to be done.
Okay. Alright, well, this was lovely. I'll see you whenever we get ready to leave.
Wait, hold on, Luna, one more thing.
Yeah?
Book club.
So camera cuts to the cell that Bowser is in. Stitch is in there too. He got thrown in there for throwing people at other people. He just looks up at Bowser and is like, so, what are you in for?
Oh,
Oh my god.
treason, overthrowing a monarch, borderline genocide, I guess, various war crimes. How about you?
I threw guards at Dante.
Throwing people is the best, though.
Stitch's face lights up and he says, so are you gonna help us?
Well, I mean, I already talked to that really nice witch that you have. The nice one, not the one that gives me nightmares. I mean, that gives me very masculine dreams where I destroy her and throw her very, very far.
So, you ready to go?
He looks down at the ball and chain still attached to his ankle, and then looks down at the ball and chain still attached to your ankle, and then just looks up and says, sure. And then he tears off the chain.
Yeah, and Stitch does the same thing and like kind of swings the ball and chain around like a fucking mace and then just throws it through the wall.
All right. So Bowser and Stitch leave the prison cell.
Yeah, and for some reason, and Stitch whistles at Lace, who pokes her head through the hole in the wall, and then both Bowser and Stitch ride on Lace, both wearing Squirtle Squad sunglasses for some reason.
So, Luna, you arrive at Professor Fungai's house in the town just outside the castle gates. This is basically a very small, very sparse home with only the most cursory gestures toward having any sort of bed and like a little stove and normal home decor, because the vast majority of the interior of this building is taken up by a laboratory. There are computers and monitoring stations, and spread out over several tables are the deconstructed parts of several different robot models. And busying himself amongst all of the dismantled robots is an elderly mushroom person with a purple spotted mushroom cap and a curly white handlebar mustache.
Can we say that Vivian is in the room just behind him?
Oh, sure.
He doesn't notice her. She's just like looking over his shoulder and checking out the stuff that he's doing and like looking at all of his stuff, but like just staying out of sight.
Yeah, so Luna, you walk in, you see this professor with Vivian hovering very closely behind him. He looks up at you as you enter, waves at you and says, "Ah yes, come in. You are from this league group that the princess was telling me about."
Yes, and I see you already met Vivian.
I'm gonna drop down into the floor before he turns around.
Okay.
Oh.
He looks at you quizzically and then turns and sees just an empty lab behind him, and then turns back around and he says, "I'm not familiar with your kind. Do you have some sort of imaginary friend?"
I'm gonna slowly come up out of the floor. I'm gonna say, hey, sorry.
He leaps into the air, almost as high as Luigi did, basically over a couple of the tables, and kind of grabs onto his mushroom cap in surprise and says, "Dearie me!"
Sorry, I came in and you didn't notice me, and then I had been in here for so long that it would have been awkward to say anything, and I just didn't know what to do, so...
We would hate for this situation to turn awkward, wouldn't we?
You know what? Awkward situations are fine.
I suppose you've come to ask about my analysis on these robotic foes.
Yeah, what have you learned?
I've determined that these enemy robots have one major weakness in their programming. They have difficulty tracking fast-moving enemies. In addition, your successful attack on Bowser in the Mushroom Castle has shown that these robots are operated remotely via a local control signal. So if you do decide to march on Bowser's castle and find it protected by robots, it is likely that these robots too would likely have a single broadcast antenna that you could potentially destroy in order to disable all of them. You should remember that the control antenna in Mushroom Castle was in the highest tower, so the same would likely prove true for the antenna in Bowser's castle.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
So who among us is fast moving?
Stitch can be incredibly fast whenever he wants to be. Dante can also be quite fast whenever he wants to be.
I'm going to turn to the professor and say, do you know anything about any power-ups or items that could make us faster?
Well, I have been working on a new type of single-person vehicle. I have a few prototypes that you may be able to use for this mission.
Ooh.
Oh, let's see it.
He shows you into, like, a little attachment off the side of his house, and there are several carts arrayed out.
Oh, yes.
My God!
Yes.
Is there,
Wow.
Are there any motorcycles?
So, in the latest Mario Kart game, you do get to design your cart. So, I will allow each of you to design your cart if you wish.
Oh, that's so great.
I guess, should we gather everybody around to
Yeah,
pick
this
out
is
what their
very
cart looks
important.
like?
Everyone needs to come here right now.
Okay, I send my Patronos to go run around and let everybody know to meet us at Professor Fungi's house.
So yeah, all of you arrive guided by a glowing silver hair. For those of you who haven't played Mario Kart, there's several different kind of like body configurations you can do, different kind of like sizes and lightness of the traditional cart shape, although in more recent games, you can also do a motorcycle shape. Yeah, you guys can give a brief kind of summary of some of the more interesting aspects of your individual carts.
You know what? I want the Teddy Buggy ATV, except I want to be a rabbit.
Oh, yay!
Oh, I have a sidecar for Bowser.
Oh, nice. All right. Like the
that's
sidecar
great.
is physically larger than the cart itself.
Oh, absolutely, it is physically larger.
How about
and
we've taken the Koopa clown car that he rides around in, and like we've downgraded it into a sidecar. We've like taken all the flying technology out of it.
That's pretty good.
This is part of his community service. This shame.
Yep.
Stitch's cart is gonna look like the red one, the red spaceship that he steals.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
The parachute looks like a hibiscus, because let's keep this Hawaiian.
Great.
Aw, that's nice. Does it have a pineapple on the side?
Fuck yeah, it has a pineapple on the side.
And I take it there's room enough for Lace in the back?
No, Lace has her own. Lace's looks like the Jurassic Park Jeep.
Terrific. Okay,
And then
great.
the parachute is obviously a pterodactyl. Like, why would you even fucking ask me?
All right, you know what? I'm sorry I even brought it up.
I'm leaving.
I want Vivian to ride on the back of someone else's. Is anyone interested in having like a really big off-road one that has like armor and stuff? That seems like it'd be a good one for like two people, like whoever has the biggest one.
That's what I was gonna do.
Yeah. Nico, how about for ours? We do something that's like very dark and like kind of gothy with like skulls and spikes and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. But also, it needs to be vaguely in the shape of a frog.
A little bit of a nod to the leapfrog.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so a real gothic frog.
Yeah, gothed out frog.
It's like a frog designed by Hot Topic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
And if it's cool with you, Nico, we're going to spray paint like a little banner on the side. I think it's going to be like a picture of us, and it's going to say something like Shadow Sisters or whatever, something like that. Are you down?
Yeah, that works. Hey, Dan, this spell I just learned, can I cast it on other things besides myself, or just me?
I don't know. In the game, it only lets you cast it on yourself. What do you think?
I was gonna cast it on the vehicle while I'm inside it. Do you think that might
Yeah, that's
count?
fine.
All right, so once we get in the ATV, I'm gonna pull up my book and just be like, check this out, I just learned how to do this. And I'm gonna be on like, Bankarok Santak Ulioth! And now, in addition to everything else, the black goth frog is now glowing with blue magical energy.
Nico has used her new spell on her cart. Dante, do you have anything you want to share about your new vehicle?
Yeah, it's red.
Uh-huh. Motorcycle, I
It's
take it?
2 wheels and like 8 exhaust pipes.
Oh.
And each exhaust pipe has like a little memento from each world we visited.
Aw.
Aww.
I don't know what the mementos are, but they're there.
Jurassic Park ID badge.
Yeah, that's a good one.
One of them is truck nuts, and you can't figure out where that one came from.
Probably Next City. You have like the head of Ned Stark dangling from one of your pipes.
Wow.
Oh no.
I have like a scrap of fabric that was placed over my eyes in the play.
Nice.
Aw.
I feel like I need a little like keychain of a Yoshi attached to the key.
A Yoshi egg.
Perfect.
Do you guys want Luigi to get his own cart, or is he going to ride with one of you?
He's gonna ride in the back of Lace's car.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I love it. Luigi's riding in the back of Lace's cart. So yeah, anything else you guys want to do here, or do you want to start heading out to Bowser's castle?
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
You ride out from the town with the Mushroom Kingdom natives with you, so Vivian, Bowser, and Luigi. You all know that you can get to Bowser's castle via the network of warp pipes that runs beneath the entire world. You start with one pipe just outside of Mushroom Castle, and you begin to progress through disjointed, geographically random chunks of the world as you speed through this dark green highway toward your goal. You eventually come upon the entrance to your final warp pipe at the peak of a tall mountain with clouds clinging to the slopes below you and stretching out into the distance. One by one, you all jump your carts into the dark opening, and you are rocketed an unknowable number of miles heading closer and closer to Bowser's castle. Until, all at once, you come to a very sudden stop. A much more jarring and painful stop than you're accustomed to with these warp pipes. Normally, they somehow slow you down before you exit, but it feels as though you've actually hit something in the pipe. You are all stuck in the close darkness of the interior of the warp pipe, partially piled on top of each other at this point.
With our carts and everything are in
Correct.
the pile?
Yes.
Is the pipe that we're in right now, like, sideways?
Yeah, you guys are now oriented perpendicular to the direction you'd been traveling in.
Okay, I Lumos immediately.
Luna, you wave your wand and a point of light appears at the end of it. It appears as though a wall of dark brown rock completely blocks your way, stretching from one side of the tunnel to the other. Actually, giving it a closer look, it looks as though there's actually no space between the rock and the metal walls of the pipe. There's not even the tiniest of seams. It looks as though the rock has become completely fused to the metal.
I think this calls for either magic, punching, or both.
Why don't we try punching first, and then if that doesn't work...
Who would like to punch?
We know who would like to punch. Come on now.
Beep, 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 beep. Beep. Stitch just like laying on his horn.
So, Stitch, are you at the back of the line of carts just honking?
Yeah. What's the hold up?
Stitch, could you give us a hand with this?
You hear what sounds like a door slam. Patter, 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 patter. Walks up to Vivian's car. What's going on?
There's some rocks in the way.
Looks over at the rocks. Oh.
That's kind of your deal, right? Like moving stuff? Moving heavy stuff?
Oh, now you want me to throw and punch and...
All right, unless it's too heavy for you.
Oh.
Stitch's eyes widen. All right, what am I rolling?
Strength.
Vivian, that was amazing.
I had a very difficult childhood. I've gotten very good at psychologically manipulating people.
99.
All right.
Oh,
so,
jeez.
Stitch, you pull back your tiny blue fist and send it through the rock. It turns out that the rock actually wasn't super thick. It was only about a foot thick, which you're easily able to demolish with your superhuman strength. And basically, as soon as the hole in the rock has gotten wide enough, all of a sudden, the weird suction of the warp pipe starts up again, and you all get pulled through and finish your journey the rest of the way to Bowser's castle.
So just not the car.
You emerge out of the pipe into a landscape of dark volcanic rock and glowing rivers of lava. Off in the near distance, perched on a rocky cliff, looms a towering castle with its dark stone edifice lit from beneath in the flickering orange light of molten rock. A gigantic face is carved into the front of this castle. Luna immediately recognizes the face as that of the man she saw in Bowser's memories, a bald human man with a huge, bushy mustache, a huge and manic grin stretching from one side of his face to the other, and an eerie purple light shimmers from the round lenses covering his eyes. Bowser snarls when he sees the face carved onto the castle and says, "Robotnik, that spineless wiggler! I'll bet he didn't even wait till I had reached Mushroom Castle before he started putting his own ugly mug on my castle."
I know. What sort of person would take over another person's castle and reshape it into their own image?
Exactly.
You know what? I am sorry he redecorated your place.
Thank you,
That's
Luna.
unfortunate.
See, you get it.
Did it always look like this? It's very fiery here.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Oh, okay. Yes, it is great.
As you all start making your way across this rocky expanse, you realize that something isn't right. Something feels off about this whole place. It's a feeling in the air, perhaps, but one that seems to channel directly into your nervous system, activating some primal part of your brain that tells you you're being watched, that you're not safe, that you could be attacked at any moment, and that something about this place is deeply damaged, wrong, and dangerous. With your instincts firing off in your head, you take a second to look around this area, and aspects of it start to stand out to you. Off to your right is what appears to be a pine tree growing out of this lifeless, rocky wasteland. But as if that weren't strange enough by itself, it is protruding at a 45-degree angle out of the ground, and its upper quadrant has fused completely into a nearby rocky outcropping. Not far ahead of you is what appears to be a 30-foot-long stretch of highway blacktop, complete with a dashed yellow line running down the center. At the very edge of this incongruous piece of street is what looks like the back half of a blue automobile, as though a sedan had been sheared off just behind the front seats. And looking out, you can see more and more of these strange occurrences, things which don't belong in this sort of environment, things which don't really belong in this world, littering the landscape chaotically. And it's not just objects either. There's an area of about 100 square feet where you can very clearly catch the smell of freshly cut grass. And you're fairly certain that you hear the sound of ocean waves crashing against rocks coming from what seems to be a completely random area of air about 20 feet up.
I don't like this.
As you try to process what it is you're experiencing, there's a sudden electric crackle from nearby. Those of you who traveled to the Mushroom Kingdom from Castle Grayskull find the sound very familiar. It's quite reminiscent to the sound that the DDC makes when it activates and sends you from one world to another, but this one sounds a lot more chaotic and a lot less controlled. As this is occurring to you, there's suddenly a bubble of crackling white electricity that explodes outward from an otherwise unremarkable point nearby, and without warning, a stampede of African wildebeest come streaking out with remarkable speed, unintentionally heading directly toward you. What do you do?
Nico, floor it!
I mean, are they in front of us?
They're kind of like coming at you guys from an angle.
Okay, yeah, I hit the gas.
All right, so is everyone going to try to like outrace these things?
Sounds like a good time.
All right. If you are trying to outdrive them, you're going to need to make an agility check with a bonus if you have vehicles. That's only for the drivers here. Not everyone here is a driver, obviously. If there's something else you would like to do, then you may do so.
Stitch is gonna run back into his car.
All right.
I got a yellow.
Well, I gotta wait.
Great.
Sorry. I have a crappy agility.
I got a green.
Lace obviously gets a white.
Okay.
Yeah, Luigi should drive, I suppose.
Seeing as he actually knows how to drive a
Yes.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, maybe they'll switch the next turn. How about that? Stitch. Stitch does not get back to his car in time.
Okay.
Oh god, it's Lion King all over again.
Stitch, you get kicked around by all the wildebeest.
What?
You take 40 damage from the stampede as they just kind of trample you down into the ground. Same with Lace and Luigi. Both of them take 40 damage as their cart is hit and knocked about. Nico, you and Vivian were about to suffer the same fate when suddenly that blue glow that you put around your cart seems to flare up and absorb all of the attacks that the wildebeest were sending towards you, and the two of you are fine. Dante and Luna are able to stay ahead of this stampede and get out of harm's way, and the wildebeest continue onward, largely oblivious as to what happened, as they continue stampeding their way off into this wasteland, leaving all of you behind. What do you do now?
Stitch just like is face down on the ground and reaches up a little shaky hand.
I don't know much about that device, but if this guy's like a sort of technology kind of inventor dude, and he got his hands on it, he's probably messing around with it.
That's what I mean. We gotta find him.
He's probably in there.
If you want to have fun storming the castle, let's do it.
Are you good to drive this thing, Nico?
Yeah, I'm fine.
How old are you? Have you driven, like, cars before?
I was learning. I was doing really well with my permit.
How's Stitch doing?
Stitch peels himself off the ground, shakes his head, blah, and then stomps into his car, slams the door, revs the engine, and like, let's do this.
Is Luigi going to take over driving the cart, or is Lace gonna...
Oh, no. That's fine.
Okay.
Lace just looks very confused, like, why did anyone let me do this?
Yeah, I think Luigi was just too embarrassed to say anything.
Yeah, especially to a very ferocious-looking dinosaur.
Yes.
Like, what is wrong with this Yoshi?
Yep.
I mean, he's seen Yoshis who've driven carts before, and he's seen
Sure.
Bowser can drive a cart. Like,
I'm sorry, I just
Blizzard's driving
assumed.
cars is nothing new for him.
In my defense, you were very confident getting behind that steering wheel. So, continuing closer to Bowser's castle, you come over a ridge, and you see a small valley between you and the castle. And this valley is filled with the robotic sentries that you recognize from your battle at Mushroom Castle, but in much greater numbers, including at least 24 of those Titanic Sentinels that Stitch and Dante fought during the battle. These robots are scattered all over this valley, standing watch, it looks like. What do you do now?
Is there a way we can get through here where they're not going to notice us? I'm trying to figure out the layout of the landscape there, but it's kind of complicated, and there's a lot of them moving around.
I mean, do we want to be sneaky or do we want to announce our presence?
Well, I'd like to have options.
I mean, once you decide to not be sneaky, you can't then be sneaky later. I'm more of the sneaky type myself, and so I'd probably prefer that to start.
I think we might be able to sneak and then surprise them and destroy them all somehow.
How many are we talking about?
I mean, there's hundreds of these things.
That's what I thought. I don't...
Maybe low thousands. It's hard to tell from here.
What if we could do some sort of distraction? Is there any sort of like bridge or bottleneck or like a narrow pass or something that is somewhere where like if we get them all to go through, you could somehow like destroy the way for them to get back?
Vivian, why don't you give me an intuition check with a bonus for perception?
Okay, I'll spend some karma on this. This is sort of important. Ooh, and I rolled a 2, so it's good that
Okay.
I did. I'm gonna spend 74 and make it a yellow.
Okay.
Jesus, really? Okay.
Vivian, why don't you describe to me what you see?
So I'm gonna say that a little bit behind us, like the part that we just came over, you mentioned that we went over like a highway. I think it would be cool if that is basically just like a sort of land bridge that goes over like a big old pit of lava. It's like a cliff on either side of it, and it's just basically like there's this like narrow asphalt highway that goes for a while across lava, and we went across that on the way here. I'm gonna say there's something like that that's like right at our backs right now. So if we could like lure them away and blow it up, then they would be stuck on the other side of a giant chasm of lava.
Okay, that is what you see. I will point out, Claire, there are flying robots, but those are the minority. The vast majority of them, and the biggest and most powerful, are the ground units.
That's fine. So who wants to be like a distraction?
I'm into
That's
it.
probably me.
I can also do it.
I'm into the distraction.
I think, yeah, this is kind of a Dante move.
It does sound like a Dante thing.
You could also ride with him, Nico, and cast the protection spell on the two of you.
I don't think I can cast it on another person.
I imagine you guys will be riding on a motorcycle, right? So you could cast it on the motorcycle.
Because, I mean, like, I could just also give the motorcycle the ability to fly.
Ooh, that one.
I'll go with Dante. I don't mind it when he's shirtless all the time.
I imagine that we're gonna hide somewhere, and then Dante's gonna get their attention, and then ride across the thing. How are we gonna blow up the bridge is the question.
Can Bowser do stuff like that?
Oh yeah, Bowser is very strong and has fire breath.
Oh, well, yeah, he is basically a dragon.
I have an idea, but my only thing is I don't know how Bowser's gonna come back with us if I do the thing.
What's the idea?
I really want to throw Bowser again. I want to do a fastball special with Bowser.
You could like put him on the end of a chain.
Sure.
He could pull himself into his shell, and he could.
Okay.
I was thinking I could. Whoever is going to destroy the bridge, I could hide with them in the shadowy thing on the close side of the bridge where we are right now, like right on the cliff. And then so once everybody comes, we can pop out and blow up the bridge. But I can only take one person with me, so I couldn't do Stitch and Bowser. I mean, Stitch can roll up in a ball and pretend to be a rock.
A cute blue furry rock.
Okay, so the plan then is Dante and Nico go in to make a distraction and lure the robots out of the valley. Once they are across the bridge, Vivian undisguises Bowser and Stitch comes out of hiding, and the three of them work together to blow up the bridge and trap the robots on the other side. Just in case this ends up going sideways and you guys have to fight, we should probably assign these NPCs to people now. So we have Bowser and we have Luigi.
I'll take Bowser.
Okay?
Yeah, I guess I'll take Luigi. I guess it makes more sense for story reasons, but Bowser's like one of my favorite characters ever.
I just realized I'm not doing anything.
Luna, you could also just be in the air and like pop up and start blowing up the air ones.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, I'll do that.
So, Luna, Dante, and Nico begin their journey down into the valley, while Vivian and Stitch, along with Bowser and Luigi, stay up on the ridge and begin to go into disguise.
Hello, I am Robot 2. I have speech. I have prepared to deliver.
Dante, the eyes of 1,000 robots all turn toward you from across the valley.
Yes, hello, I am still Robot. Nice to meet you. Processing.
You're doing good.
Dante, you start to feel a little weird sensation, and you look down and you see your body is a mass of targeting lasers right now.
Thank you. My favorite color is red. Please, more red.
And with that, the robot army surges forward and begins to attack.
Okay, so that worked.
I'm gonna need the three of you to make either fighting or agility checks, or if you have like a power or an ability you'd like to use instead of just trying to get out of the way, you can do that instead.
Hop on motorcycle and ride away?
Okay, yeah, so basically you can give me that agility check with your vehicle's bonus.
I'm gonna point my staff at the motorcycle and say turbo.
76, yellow.
Green.
What's the effect of the turbo spell?
Just massive speed boost.
Nice. And Luna, what are you doing?
I am going to use my other wand and teleport.
Okay, so you pull out Magic Koopa's wand and point it at yourself. Roll your Psyche.
I got a green.
Cool. Where are you teleporting yourself to?
Yeah, just to the other side of the bridge.
Okay, Dante's motorcycle goes rocketing with turbo speed out of the valley, being chased hotly behind by robots, and rockets over the bridge made up of a stretch of road from another world. The robots continue to chase him across this bridge, with the bridge sagging dangerously beneath the step of some of the much larger robots, but it does still hold, and they do give chase until all of the robots have crossed the bridge. However, let's see how good our friends waiting are hiding themselves. Vivian, you and Bowser are hiding in the Shadow Realm, so you guys are fine. The one I'm going to need a roll from is Stitch, so I need you to roll agility with a bonus for stealth.
Okay. He was chewing on his own butt a little too much. Alright.
Okay, so I'm going to say about 80% of the robots are across the
Oh,
bridge.
jeez.
The remaining ones begin to sort of like stop and turn to look as they see this creature chewing on its own butt next to the bridge, and they begin to divert and head towards Stitch. What does everyone do?
I'm gonna pop out of shadow thingy and throw Bowser off to the side. I'm gonna say, Stitch, get to the bridge. I got these guys.
So Stitch and Bowser run off toward the bridge, and Vivian turns toward the robots. What do you do?
I'm going to use Fiery Jinx.
All right, let's see how you do.
Oh, I just rolled a 100. Okay, that's
Nice.
great. So that does monstrous fiery damage to all targets in one area, and they must make agility checks or be set on fire.
You point your hands forward, and there is a mushroom cloud that goes up in the midst of these robots. Those in the center are vaporized immediately. Those on the outskirts are caught in the blast, set on fire, and propelled outward, and they hit the rest of them. You have obliterated this group of robots.
Oh,
Wow.
Nice.
Stitch and Bowser, you guys arrive at one end of the bridge. Looking across it, you can see the rest of the robot army has begun to sort of catch on to the ruse and is beginning to turn around and head back toward you. You only have a couple of seconds before they reach the bridge. What do?
Stitch looks at Bowser. He looks back. Their eyes meet. Camera does that split screen thing where both their eyes narrow. And then they nod. Stitch picks up Bowser, who has balled himself, and they're gonna do a fastball special.
Okay, so Bowser has tucked his arms, legs, and head into his shell.
Yes.
And you're just throwing his shell at the bridge.
Yes, now, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, all Koopa shells are pretty bouncy. Hopefully he'll kind of come back.
I mean, that's the hope. Give me a strength check from Stitch.
If he doesn't, is it really that bad? Karma. Red.
Nice.
Nice.
Yep, so you slam
And so,
Bowser.
I'm sorry. Psych! Stitch officially thinks psych is what you say when you throw things.
So Stitch jumps up in the air and throws Bowser down. His shell spins through the air and impacts the center of the bridge, cracking it in half and sending shards of it falling down into the lava below. Bowser's shell bounces upward, continues in a parabolic arc backward, and he pops back out of his shell in order to do a 3-point landing Iron Man style on your side of the bridge. Several of the robots are unable to stop in time and go falling over the edge and down into the lava below. There are some that are able to stop, but they are clearly unable to do anything more than metaphorically shake their fists at you from their side of the lava river.
We're speeding away from the robots, so they're still chasing us. I'm just say Dante just hits the brakes. And does the thing where you brake and you turn it around, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we're facing the robots, and then we start driving towards them directly, and they speed up because they're wanting to get their hands on us and everything, and it's this big great scene. And then Nico points at the motorcycle and is like, "Psych!"
All right, let's roll it.
Oh yeah, that's a yellow.
Okay, great. So the motorcycle lifts off like the bike from E.T.
Yeah.
and flies over the head of the robots. So you guys are able to sail effortlessly and safely, both over the robots and over the river of lava, landing safely on the other side, rejoining your fellows. As you all turn back toward the castle, you can see that there is a swarm of the remaining flying robots, which is now beginning to descend toward you. What do all of you do?
No, yeah, I think Vivian's going to say she's going to just be not looking at them, be looking at the burning wreckage of the 50 robots she just blew up, and she's gonna go, "Ha-ha, I did it, guys!" And then turn around and see all the flying swarm coming in and be like, "Ah, dang it!"
I am going to use the telekinetic powers on this new wand.
All right, Psyche check, please, Luna.
I don't know what I did, but nothing good. It's a white.
All right, so Luna, Comic's wand has been getting kind of increasingly hot every time you use it. And this time when you point it, you just hear a little from the end of it. And you see the crystal goes dark and smoke starts coming out of the top. The wand is no longer active.
Oh shit!
No!
Does Luna start swearing like that?
Yes!
Oh my god, Merlin's balls! You're in so much trouble!
Does Luigi want to do anything, Claire?
He does have the Poltergust 5000, which makes me very happy. That's the vacuum cleaner thing from Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, you could probably try to target this swarm with the poltergust.
Oh yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll see if that'll work. Suddenly he is now wearing a backpack vacuum cleaner thing. He fires it up and starts trying to suck up some robots.
Okay, you don't normally need to make a check with this, because normally it's the enemy that needs to make a check, but given the situation, I think this is going to be an agility check for Luigi.
That is a green.
Luigi doesn't quite pull in the swarm. What he does is he sort of creates this big vortex in front of them that is slowing them down, partially holding them in place, and largely keeping them from getting close to you quickly. So Luigi has kind of set them up. Does Lace want to do something?
Can you remind me, when Lace got infected by Phyrexia, that was because a bunch of Phyrexia's little swarm things.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, little bug-like Phyrexians.
Lace looks up at the sky of these buzzing, awful things, and her eyes widen and she gets Nom-style flashbacks.
Poor Lace.
And then she pulls out Marlene.
Okay. I like how you and Lace just have a shared item space.
Yeah. Sometimes Stitch is just busy doing things that are kind of destructive.
Okay, alright.
And she plays Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. At these fucking robots.
Alright, let's see how Lace does.
Can I use my karma for her? Is that
Yes.
how it works? Okay. 96!
You're gonna have to restring this guitar because we know what Lace does to guitars.
No, only when she gets whites.
Okay.
She's getting better. She's learning.
Alright, if
Oh
you
my
say
god,
so.
what are we doing?
We thought it was scary in Jurassic Park when the Velociraptors learned how to turn doorknobs. This is next level as she begins to bust out with these huge destructive sound waves that catch the flying robots held still by Luigi's giant vacuum cleaner, and they explode in this just giant cascading bloom of orange flame and black smoke.
Nice.
You guys now have a clear path to Bowser's Castle.
Vroom, bitches.
You head up to the castle across the lowered drawbridge, which stretches over a moat filled with lava. The interior of this castle has been almost completely converted into a massive robot factory. with several long assembly lines pumping out the many different models of Robotnik's mechanical forces. You can see paintings and statues of Bowser have been taken down and just like left in these big scrap piles all around the room, and the interior of the castle itself has been reshaped as Robotnik has taken down interior walls in order to make more room for his production line. So this is a very large and noisy place that you all walk into.
Ooh. Look at all these breakable things.
Bowser is clearly furious at this complete debasement of his castle that he spent so many years of his life getting just the way he wanted it.
Yeah, at this point, Vivian's gonna say to him for the second time, yeah, really doesn't feel good when someone comes into your space, you know, your kingdom, and changes everything around, right? And like inserts themselves in charge of it and kicks you out.
He's like nodding emphatically along with you and says, I know! And with that, he begins to just rampage through the assembly lines, taking them out, throwing robot parts everywhere, and just dismantling this place.
Stitch throws his arms up. Party! And joins him.
As all of you are doing this, you suddenly hear a voice ring down from above that says, and what exactly do you think it is that you're doing here? Looking up, you can see descending, standing on this sort of like floating metal platform, is a man. His torso is more than a little bit shaped like an egg.
He's more egg than man.
No, he's more man than egg, but you can be forgiven for missing that distinction. Yes. He's wearing a red and black coat. His head is bald. He has a very large, bushy ginger mustache, and he's wearing a pair of small, round, dark lenses over his eyes. And he looks more than a little perturbed at the destruction you're causing.
It's the person I was telling you about!
The answer to your question is we're, I believe, if I'm phrasing this right, in your base, killing your dudes.
So I see. It is interesting that you've brought yourselves to me, though. I've been quite looking forward to making your acquaintance, and, well, this isn't exactly how I saw it going, but I suppose there's no avoiding it.
Crash slam. Stitch is still breaking shit in the background.
Robotnik winces slightly. Robotnik looks at all of you and says, you are quite an unusual gang, even for the standards of this particular world. I take it that you, like myself, am not originally from this plane of existence.
I mean, I don't really feel like we need to really answer these questions. What we're more interested in is what you've done with the DDC.
I take it that is the small device that your blue friend there was carrying around that I have relieved him of.
Boom. Whoops.
At this point, the assembly line is just garbage.
Well, now I'm bored.
Perhaps I should explain. In my native world of Mobius, I created my robotic minions by roboticizing the native fauna species there. That's allowed me to use their natural bioelectricity as a fuel source, and to use their natural survival instincts as a shortcut for more advanced combat protocols. And yet, when it came to this world, I found that the natives here resisted my usual roboticization procedures.
Alright, I'm bored. I say find DDC.
Okay.
Shit. I gotta wait.
Find DDC. Okay, Nico, you point your staff and say, find DDC. And suddenly there's a pop as a mushroom person wearing a suit and tie appears in front of you. He's holding a briefcase, and he's looking around very confused. What is going on here?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Daniel D. Cornwall, attorney at law.
We found him.
All right. I mean, nice to meet you. Do you monologue?
Vivian's gonna say, can you guys keep it down back there? She says to Nico, she says, I think his speech is very interesting.
That's great. I'm gonna talk to the mushroom lawyer.
And yet, when I came to this world, I found that the natives here resisted my usual roboticization procedures. Something about their physiology. It's almost as though they're not animals at all, but closer to fungi. I had to go about making my robotic forces the old-fashioned way, directing them via a crude command signal. Fortunately, all I had to do was wave the possibility of world domination in front of Bowser's nose, and he gave me all the resources I could ask for. But then, fate saw fit to provide me with 2 unique opportunities. The second of these, of course, was all of you. I've been monitoring you since Grim Prison, when it became clear that none of you were from this particular world. I identified that device that the small blue one carried as some sort of dimensional transporter, and targeted it when you marched on Mushroom Kingdom. I've been experimenting with it ever since and have made some truly remarkable breakthroughs with this technology, including a number of improvements, naturally. I noticed that your device is only capable of traveling via areas where the walls between dimensions are especially thin, areas which I have dubbed extraction points.
Whoa!
But I, in my genius, have developed the Dimensional Debuffer, a device which emits a radiation that eats away at the barrier between worlds. With this, I can create my own extraction points, meaning that I can travel to wherever I wish, from wherever I wish. But that was the second stroke of luck that's come upon me since my arrival. The first occurred once Bowser started his little invasion, when a plumber-turned-warrior showed up at the castle gates, looking to shut the whole operation down. My forces were able to defeat him, of course, though he did set my production line back 2 solid months. But when he was captured, I made the most amazing discovery. Like you, this would-be savior also did not originate from this world. In fact, his physiology was much closer to my own, perhaps even the same strain of Homo sapien as myself, and because of that, I was able to, shall we say, return to my older, robotic roots. And with that, there is the sound of a leap.
I don't like this at all.
As a metallic figure lands in the center of the room and says, "It's-a me, Mecha Mario." Extraordinary League is produced by Dan Mulkerin, with logo design by Claire Mulkerin.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Motherload, and to TabletopAudio.com for our background music and ambient sound effects.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight. I'm just imagining like Luigi super high from the mushroom he's eating, and just being turned around, his pupils are all dilated, that he's like, "It's-a me, the god Ganesh."
What if there was an unspoiled Tome of Eternal Darkness? Natasha, get on it.
I have a sinking feeling that that podcast would not reach its conclusion.
I see, one person has to have already read it.
Yeah, that's the
And so
problem.
I don't think that
Nico.
person can come in. It would either be like, they would be like dead or insane, or it would be Pius Augustus.
Hey, Dan, wouldn't it be a twist if my robot arm was actually made by Dr. Robotnik?
I mean,
Didn't we
it
say
would be a
it's a
twist because it
Terminator?
would make no sense, but you know.
I think we said it was a Terminator arm. But
Yes, well, it was a spare that the League created for the Terminator.
Which was created by Dr. Robotnik. No!
Yep, you got it. Full circle.
what if Dr. Robotnik was secretly a robot that was created by Dante?
That's too much.
That's part of Dante's origin
When he
story.
was a
is that
child
he
on
actually
Tatooine,
created-
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's-a me, Dracula.
I want to suck your blood.